All right, guys, once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Man, we've been talking about this Deep South's oldest rivalry all week, man. One of my favorite games to watch. And we have so many moving parts to this particular game. Currently, as a head coach, Kirby Smart is obviously one of the more successful up-and-coming coaches in college football. I mean, his resume pretty much speaks for itself. You talk about 2 straight SEC East titles. He appeared in the 2017 Southeastern Conference Championship, did it again in 2018, and appearing in the National Championship just seconds away in overtime, perhaps, from having Georgia's first national championship since 2000. No, hell no, not 2000, since 1980. Either way, got some trends going for Kirby Smart that are actually pretty good. He's only lost one SEC East game since 2016 when he lost to Florida 24-10. But the only issue with that is that's a tough loss to take. You're talking about an overtime loss to South Carolina. Then you come into a game like Auburn in a situation where losing to Auburn, depending on what Florida does for the rest of the season, because, of course, they have the head-to-head there, and Florida already has 2 SEC losses. You lose to Auburn, then that puts you in a position to where you could jeopardize the SEC East streak that you have going on in making it to the SEC championship. I think that's very doubtful, so we're not going to put too much emphasis on that. Now, like I said before, coming into this particular game against Auburn, Georgia's in a situation where they're trying to end that reputation. They're trying to end that reputation of not being able to beat an SEC West team on the road. And that's something that they've had to hear for the last few years. And that's something that Kirby Smart definitely, I'm pretty sure, has been some bulletin board material for his football teams. Like, look, the last time we went over to Auburn, we got our asses whooped. You know what I'm saying? And that's not something that he wants to continue, I'm pretty sure. But either way, I think this is going to be a very continuing to talk about this. There are things that just keeps coming up that really intrigue me more and more about this particular game and all of the implications thereof. Now, a lot of folks think I'm crazy, but CBS doesn't think I'm crazy. They even talked about the list of contenders, and guess who's on the list? Auburn is on the list at 7-2, mainly because they played Oregon, beat them. Oregon's in the top 10, of course. Then have number 4 and number 5 Georgia left on the schedule. You look at the strength of schedule for Auburn, I don't think anyone comes close in college football. So yes, that's going to be a talking point. Also, I really like next year, the 2020 football schedule for Auburn and some of the other teams in the SEC, where they have to face a division foe in the last month or the last 2 games of the year. The reason why I like this, especially in Auburn and Georgia's case, is the fact that it's better for the fans, honestly, when you talk about traveling and you're talking about spacing emotionally, because that's just like Georgia playing Florida, and then the next, like a week later, they play Tennessee, or except for when that was actually a rivalry. But, with Auburn taking on Georgia in October, like late October, not having to face Alabama till the end of November, one of my subscribers, Lisa Daniel, she asked the question like, hey, which game should I go to? Should I go to Georgia? Should I go to Alabama? Those particular games. The reason why she's asking it is because the games are so close in proximity together. If they're in October, Georgia's in October, Alabama's in late November, then it makes the scheduling a little bit easier. Also, from a logistics standpoint, when we look at these races in the SEC division, if you have an Auburn team that, say, has 1 loss going into November in the conference, you have Alabama and LSU 2 weeks apart. Your season is going to be determined in 2 weeks. So guess what? That means the fans will stay engaged, versus after the LSU game, you have a lot of fans thinking, okay, well, the season is lost. Now, in Auburn's case this year, like I said before, the season is not necessarily lost only because of who Auburn has ahead. But just think about it, though. The 2020 season is going to be a lot more interesting and a lot more engaging than, say, even this year is. I'm just hoping that Auburn is able to pull this whole winning out thing to really push the envelope with the selection committee to where they add a different criteria. Maybe even make it something slick like the Auburn rule or the, Auburn scenario, whatever you want to call it. All right, guys, just another part to this Deep South's oldest rivalry. Going to be a lot of talent on display on the field this particular weekend. I'm looking much forward to it. For those of you all who don't know, the game is going to be televised on CBS and is going to be announced by Brad Nessler and my least favorite announcer, Gary Danielson. Game's going to be at 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Time. Like I said before, go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.